Press record.
There we go.
This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Thank you. But we don't deserve it, so shelve the applause. We were mediocre at best. With that, we have John Bradshaw Layfield, the WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, Mike Friday, the three-time Olympic sevens coach, and Irish rugby legend George Hook, all addressing what's on that slate. You can see the topics. It's all good. Let's get to it. Gentlemen, it's just the three of us again because John is... He's got other things going on, but we're going to try to hear from him later.
You sent rugby, got him. They finally got him. You forced the hand. All right, he kept telling you he was going to do it. You didn't do anything to improve it, and now he's gone.
You know what? I groomed him. I made him what he is, and I let him go. That's what I did. I made John Bradshaw Layfield into what he is, and now he is free to go to 2 Cents Rugby. Unfortunately, he's not here to brag because he was the one that carried us last week because the three of us absolutely sucked. We were all under 500 except for John. So our record on the week was 30-30. Not impressive, but we're going to do better this week. With that, let's talk about things that we took away from the weekend. Mike, why don't you go first?
Well, I think we just need to talk about Leinster. Again, just bulldozing for the last two rounds, and I think they scored like 110, 115 points. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you know, the defence is we're playing the Irish team, but they're playing something better than the Irish team because they've got Geordie Barrett and they've got Snyman as well. But they're formidable in Europe. They're obviously the favourites. They're chasing it, and they're playing some unbelievably ruthless rugby, both sides of the ball. Phenomenal.
Gift, how about you?
Old Glory still got the yips against Gold. All right, 2 wins in a row. And both teams were teams between the Anthem and the Gold. Both of them were supposed to be teams that were starting to break teams, and they were slowly getting their way. Yeah, shout out to the Gold on that one for destroying the Anthem last week and then following it up by absolutely embarrassing Old Glory at home. That's how you're supposed to bring back the fan base.
It was a sloppy game of knock-on after knock-on and blown opportunity after blown opportunity by both sides. But DC had every opportunity to actually win that match.
That's part of the yips.
The personnel is completely different from all these sides at this point.
Which makes it worse. You thought you could change it up, and you didn't. That means you're cursed.
It's a valid point. And I'm not going to mention you going 0-5 in Super Rugby. I'm not going to do that.
I'm also not going to mention the fact of you going, 1-4 in MLR. I mean, hey, at least I'm not from the South Pacific, all right? They can throw me off. You live right inside the home.
Gift, don't stoop to my level, please. You're above that.
Sir, I go lower. We hit snake belly, baby.
All right. Okay. Well, I had a couple of observations. Number one, I thought that the use of the underwater cam for the New England match was ridiculous. Versus San Diego, game of the week, up in New England, they can't keep the cameras dry. It looked like you were underwater and your goggles fell off or your face mask fell off, and that's what you were watching the match. And I'm like, season 8, there's rain during other rugby matches, and you can actually see the match when you're at home. They've figured out filming in the rain. We haven't, apparently. But it was an astounding win for New England, again, down to their second, third fly half. Harrison Boyle had to come in for Falatoy Peni, who we'll talk about in a moment, but Patro's still out. They just keep popping up players, New England. It's amazing. They keep popping up players. And San Diego, now 3 in a row, they've lost. And it's not getting any easier for them this week. All right, guys, that's a perfect segue to our Player of the Week. The nominees are Xavier Mignot, the NOLA's number 14, the fleet-footed French international at 140 yards, 3 tries, and led all players in offloads, clean breaks, and crossing the gain line in a pivotal must-have NOLA win. Geordie Barrett, Leinster's number 12, the All-Black star, top of the world talent and ability to remain cool and collected under the pump, was on full display working inside Gary Ringrose in the centers, and he earned every penny of whatever Leinster is shelling out for him. Third, Mike, your guy, Henry Pollock of the Saints. Again, he had 2 tries all over the pitch. What a raw talent and a resounding win for Northampton. Who do you like, Mike?
Oh, it's an interesting one, but I'm going to go for the flair of the Frenchman from NOLA. 3 tries. They've gone there, done a job. Cracking win. Destroyed Old Glory. This man was at the forefront, so I'll go for the Frenchman. Mignot.
Gift.
Hey, look, man. As much as I can appreciate what Northampton has done and what Jordy has done in choosing Leinster over Japan, but nothing's going to beat just watching your home team destroy it's not Atlanta, but it's the closest thing that we can get to destroying Atlanta by destroying DC. So, hey, one chocolate city goes down for another one because NOLA still runs this. Xavier Mignon, let's go. I got nothing else to say. I'm not even going to make fun of the French in this situation. Let's go.
I was all set to pick Mignot because I like saying Mignon. But now you just make it so difficult. You make it so hard to pick somebody from NOLA. But I like everybody in NOLA. So I'm going to pick Jordy Barrett for having one heck of a match. He was all over the pitch, did everything you'd need and more.
Of course he's going to go Irish. Of course you were going to go Irish.
He's a Kiwi. He's not Irish.
Yeah, but they're representing for the Irish, and you are going to just consider him as Irish, even if he's Kiwi.
That aside, our player of the week is Xavier Mignot of the NOLA Gold. Congratulations. And with that, we get to go to our other recurring segment, Gift, your favorite segment.
Grown-ass man!
The nominees are Dylan Nell, the Utah number 8, 17 tackles and a key try in Los Angeles in a match that saw his team own the second half on the road. Tomas Ramos, the fullback of Toulouse, not the biggest guy physically on the pitch, but boy, does he have ice in his veins and a set of bronze cannons in his shorts. Palatoy Peni, New England's number 10. In the absence of Jason Patros, the keg on wheels batters opposing tacklers and kicks like, a fly half. Even after getting carted off the pitch, got the thumbs up to show he was okay. Mike, who's your grown-ass man?
Well, there's only one winner this week, and that's the Gallic Frenchman, Ramos. He has kahunas, beholden of a grown-ass man, and some. He'd missed a couple of big kicks, but the step-up, last kick of the game, away in Toulon, Toulouse, to get themselves in the semi-finals, and he just nailed it when it mattered. I mean, massive, massive, massive moment. And he delivered. He's the boy, the Frenchman, Ramos.
Gift.
Yeah, look, man, this one was a little bit of a toughie between Utah and Toulouse. But look, anytime the French actually decide to try and play, I'll give them a little bit of credit. And again, in the Champions Cup, Toulouse continues to be the only team that understands that they're getting paid to play in the top 14 and the Champions Cup. So they probably should actually put their players on the field. And Ramos showing out absolutely earned that gig. Big man on the field, even though I definitely thought he was Argentinian. But either way, still, let's go. Let's go.
So your pick is Ramos.
But that's the words I just said. We need to be black and white, the complexity.
I just got to be specific with you sometimes because, you tend to paint a different picture than what the norm is. I'm going to make it unanimous. I mean, that kick in that game, and because Mike pointed it out, yes. So Thomas Ramos
is this week's grown-ass man.
All right, on that note, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring in George. You guys are going to go to the green room, and we'll be back with our picks after George.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And now for the Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. Down in Miami and with the desperate Sharks hoping to tame the mighty Sabercats, Thomas Inciarte's brilliant effort and stunning try punctuated their huge upset of Houston and may have saved Miami's season. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. And we're back, and we're welcoming in once again Mr. George Hook calling in from Dublin. George, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. I hit some good golf shots today, so that always cheers me up.
Were you inspired by Rory McIlroy?
Like last night, you got to remember we're up all night watching it, and I think it was the greatest Masters in history. I mean, you can park Tiger, Nicklaus, all of them. I mean, the sheer mental turmoil that he went through to go down, up was just fantastic. I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for Ireland.
Are the Brits claiming him as one of their own?
No, they're not. To be fair, they're not. But he is one of theirs because, of course, he's born in Northern Ireland. But he's Ireland, and he was just fabulous, I thought. I mean, the shot he hit there were 2 holes, and this is a rugby program, but there were 2 holes, 13, where he played a shot that was worse than anything I could have done and dumped it in Rays Creek from 80 meters. And then he played a shot to the 15th, which moved 40 yards in the air. I mean, it was just stunning.
He's pretty good.
The likes of it hasn't been seen since Gene Saracen's eagle at that hole in 1934. So let's get to the rugby, kid.
Let's get to the rugby in our recurring segment,
Headlines with Hook.
First headline, not a good one. Sebastian Chabal doesn't remember any rugby.
Well, he's not in a minority of one, and that's part of the problem. He doesn't remember a single second of his entire rugby career, and he's age 47. Now, I'm a bore on this topic, but it is just another one. And how long are we going to allow it? How long is the medical profession going to stay dumb? Rugby as we know it will not exist 10 years from now. It cannot, because the mothers will not allow their children to play. World Rugby, which has been badly led, in my view, under Bill Beaumont, has a huge responsibility for the shambles.
I think they're doing a heck of a lot more than, say, even when I was an active player. It's not enough, but it is a lot more. More so since when you played. I mean, it was like, what? Okay, just rub some dirt on it and get back in there, or not even come out. You just played with the concussion.
But there weren't concussions. That's the difference. There weren't concussions.
In my world, there were. I had plenty, and I know.
But look, America. You cannot compare American rugby with the rest of the world. I went over there in 1986, 87, and all they did was bash each other. That was then. And so, I mean, don't talk to me about American rugby. Just don't talk.
You're right. You're right, because it's the curse of American football where we all grew up playing with helmets, and then we made the transition to rugby, and we thought we were still tackling with helmets on.
You make my point. Thank you.
Next headline, stealing from Danny Kerr. Could Leinster beat Ireland?
Well, the point is, 11 or 12 of the Irish team is on the Leinster team. So it was a rather silly remark, in fact, by Kerr, because Leinster would be playing Leinster, except they'd be in green shirts. I mean, the 6 of the 7 backs are Leinster, with the exception of Matt Hansen on the wing. And then in the pack, there's probably only 2 forwards that are not Leinster. So, and that is why when we talk about this championship, and we must talk about this championship, Kerr is little more than a segue. 3 of the 4 quarterfinals totaled 150 points by the winners, not combined, the winners, 150 points. The only match that was a contest was between the number 1 and number 2 French teams, Toulouse and Toulon. But Bordeaux, Northampton and Leinster just hockeyed the opposition, total 150. Leinster have scored almost 120 points in 2 cup games. Now, that means this isn't a competition. This is not a European championship, because I don't know any other sport that would be a European championship would have that gulf between winners and losers. So they've got yet another problem. Now, Leinster draw the easier semi-final. If it's possible, it's Northampton aren't bad, but Leinster are going to be at home. I don't think Leinster will score 50 points, but I think they'll win. And then you have a titanic struggle in the other semi-final. Toulouse versus Bordeaux, number 1, number 2 in the French top 14, which will be, I think, titanic. So you might get a final, which is good, but the build-up to it has been a monumental bore. I mean, I know I'm an old man and I tend to fall asleep in front of the television, but I mean, I fell asleep in front of Leinster against Harlequins. It wasn't a contest, it was just a joke.
Okay, so before we go to the next headline, I just want to point out that one guy in the pack that you're talking about happens to be R.G. Snyman, and the guy in the back line who's a Kiwi happens to be Geordie Barrett, and that segues to our next headline. Is Geordie Barrett worth it?
Well, first of all, Geordie Barrett is not a regular starter, and the reason is clear, because Cullen has 2 Irish centres in the shape of Ringrose and Henshaw, who also could be Lions, and he's not going to keep them off the pitch and damage their future. Barrett is magnificent. Barrett represents everything that is good about New Zealand rugby. In attack, he never loses the ball. Never. Just simply never loses the ball. In defense, he never misses a tackle. He is magnificent. And he'd be playing 80 minutes every single week, were it not for the fact that Cullen's got to jiggle about with 3 centres, all internationals. Barrett is magnificent. And you mentioned him again. I'm so lucky to have you as my prompter. Snyman has had a wonderful tournament. He's had a great tournament. And again, it's very interesting. Snyman in Munster was a pale shadow of the Snyman at Leinster, because Leinster, everything about Leinster is top drawer. Coaching, organisation, defence, discipline, everything is top drawer.
Well, you're making my argument that a player going from Munster to Leinster is surrounded by much better players. If only we could see Crowley playing for Leinster, that would be something.
Well, I'm not sure. The jury is out, although I would pick Crowley before Prendergast. But nevertheless, it's not a certain pick between these two. Prendergast looks better. I mean, like, you think about it, you look at the 2 games of the weekend. Prendergast is getting an armchair ride against Glasgow. So, of course, he looks good. Crowley, from pretty early on, is on the defensive because they're behind and they're hanging in there, and they had a good second half, admittedly, but not enough. But it's hard for him. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think we've got the ideal 10. And I've told you before, there is always this gap between the greats and the next great.
Yeah.
And then there's a period until the next great arrives. Because these two are not greats. They're not bad, but they're not great.
Well, that's
Headlines with Hook.
With Mr. George Hook. George, thanks for taking the time out.
Pleasure.
And action!
We're all big rugby, and John Layfield sucks. And he's from WWE, which is not even a real league.
And what about Crazy Pat Holney, the Chicago Hounds fan?
Did you ever hear of Vince McMahon?
That's me!
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now.
And we are back. And gentlemen, we got to make some picks. That's what we're here to do, right? So let's start with the URC. Mike, who do you like in the URC?
I'm going to go for Zebra. Glasgow's got 11.5 points on Zebra away from home. I don't see it. I think Zebra may not win the game, but they definitely don't lose by 11.5. So I go Zebra.
They've been good at covering. Gift.
Yeah, look, as much as I love the Scots versus the South Africans, I got to go with the Stormers at home versus Connacht. Hey, Ireland always tries to get us one up, but this time Stormers are going to make their way back, even if they might be the worst professional team in South Africa right now.
All right, and here's John's pick.
Yeah, don't bet this league until rosters come out, because you don't know who's going to play what, and you don't know who's going to care, which to me is a terrible sign for the league and a terrible sign for rugby. Give me Scarlets -5.5, but check the rosters first.
All right, well, I'm going to go with Munster because Mike pointed out off camera that the Bulls really don't need to win this match, and they're going to Thomond Park, where Munster's notoriously good. So I'm going with Munster. Let's move to this side of the pond. Let's go to the MLR. Mike, who do you like in Major League Rugby?
I'm going to take the form team at the moment, hot to trot. I'm going to take NOLA. Houston struggling, no fly half. I'm assuming Coach Seary's out again. So I think NOLA on the road do a proper job with Houston.
That would be a win streak of 2 for NOLA in a much needed situation, because everything for them, right?
Three.
Oh,
Maybe a win streak of 3.
Oh. Do you count the anthem as a win, Gift?
Hey, if Chicago almost lost to them, it gets to count now whenever they get blown out.
That's what it says on the column. You know what I mean?
Boom.
W is a W, Mike. You're right. Okay. Gift, who do you like?
Yeah, look, I'm loving that Chicago is on a hot streak, but they're going into Seattle, and as much as I don't care about the black hole, I feel like that's a place that is going to take a lot out of this Chicago team. Look for Seattle to be able to cover and win this game against Chicago.
Here's what John had to say.
Yeah, I think Anthem's going to win a game this year. I don't know about 2 or 3, but they've been close in a bunch. They've been playing much better than what the spread has given them. So give me Anthem, who's getting 14 points against New England.
All right, so there's not a lot left for me, but San Diego, 4 in a row. They can't possibly lose 4 in a row, can they? They can't. They can, but they can't. I'm taking San Diego at home to right the ship versus Utah. All right, let's log some air miles and go back across the pond to the Premiership. Mike, your neck of the woods. Who do you like?
Well, I think Northampton will rotate and rest this week, getting ready in preparation for that Champions Cup semi-final in a couple of weeks. So I think they'll spread the load. They've got to go to Newcastle. They're at 18.5 points. I don't see it. I'm not sure Newcastle win the game, but they don't lose by 18.5. So Newcastle.
Excellent insight from Coach Friday. Gift.
Saracens have done nothing for the last 2 weeks since they decided to stop trying and get beaten the Champions Cup. Look for them to come back with some vigor and energy, like a person who's been on a sex fast, and destroy Gloucester in the hardest kind of way.
All right, here's what Johnny thought of the Premiership.
Harlequins at home, -4.5 against Sale. You know, the problem with these leagues, I mean, they don't care. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about the game. You know, they're not playing their players. The scheduling is terrible. I wouldn't bet on any of this crap.
All right, and I'm going to go with Bristol, -6.5 versus the Tigers. I think Bristol at home, they're going to be tough, and Mike Friday told me to say that, so that's why I'm saying it. All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back with Super Rugby and our picks of the week and get the heck out of here. From New York City comes America's longest-running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City. Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. And we're back, and it's time for Super Rugby picks. Mike, who do you like?
Well, they're going to look for a bit of a revival after last week's dismantling. Mona Pacifica got done by the Blues last week, but I think they bounced back. I don't think the Brumbies are good for that 4.5 that they've got. I think the Pacifica will win the game, and they'll do a job on the Brumbies.
Wow. Brumbies get no respect. No respect. Gift, how about you?
Yeah, look, Fiji got a little bit thrown under last week. They're going to be fine. Coming back strong this week. Absolutely destroyed the Waratahs. 5.5 points. I mean, there's nothing.
Can we just go back to last week when you said the Waratahs suck, and then they went out and beat your Chiefs, and now you're saying they suck again because they're going to lose?
Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one, and they just blew their load against the Chiefs, and now they have to have their recap again. And Fiji is going to catch them on that low end.
I don't know if we can allow that metaphor, but we'll see through what the censors say about that.
I'm talking about super soakers. What are you getting your mind out of? Get your mind out the gutter. Goodness.
Here's what Big Johnny had to say.
Yep, give me Western Force getting 3.5 at home.
And that's what John had to say. And I'm going to Crusaders. -5.5 versus the Reds. My Crusaders are on a crusade to prove Gift wrong. All right, guys, we're basically out of time. So now it's time for John's favorite segment, Picks of the Week, Johnny. Mike, who do you like?
We're going French lads, top 14 away winner. It's not Toulouse this week, although I think they might win. I'm going Bordeaux. I think they beat Po on the road. Bordeaux. He's your top 14 away winner.
You built a cliffhanger in there too, Mike. You're a genius. Absolute genius.
Getting better and better with every week that goes on.
Better and better. You're like a fine wine. Gift.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking the Reds to beat straight up the Crusaders and be spoiler because the Crusaders are no longer that ultimate team that used to be when Richie McCaw was there. All right. Their time is over. Last year was the beginning of the end. There's just another team that's taking that position at this point.
They're in first place.
It's only temporary.
Oh.
It's only temporary.
Oh. He knows not what he says, ladies and gentlemen. So forgive him.
Listen to the words. Feel them. You know this to be true. The Crusaders are not that good. They're not number one good.
Okay, whatever. Here's John's pick of the week.
Okay, Matty. It's so good to be on with you, Matty. So I'm going to go with the Mountain Men, Matty. And I'm going to say they're going to score a ton of points. They've shown they can score half 100 against almost anybody. San Diego's a different animal. I still think a lot of points are scored, Matty. So I'm going to go with San Diego and the Mountain Men to go over, Matty.
Thanks, Johnny. I'm going to the MLR, and I'm doing an over in the Houston versus NOLA match, over 47 points. And on that note, we're out of time. I want to thank you guys, specifically John Bradshaw Layfield, the WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, Mike Friday, the 3-time Olympic sevens coach, George Hook, the Irish rugby legend, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out MLR Weekly. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.